Welcome to the Jedi Ranger. I'm JohnBerry555, and I am continuing my series of Mash Wikia reviews with Season 3, Episode 15, Bombed. So in this episode, the 477 is being shelled, specifically by their own artillery. Not by the enemy, not by the North Koreans, no, by the U.S. Army. And apparently there's a Bob Hope USO show going on, so there's no one apparently paying attention where they can contact the observers to make sure they're not being hit. And the episode ends with the shelling stopping, but not really stopping. Large of the humor of the episode, in my opinion, revolves around how the different characters are dealing in the situations the bombing puts into. Such as there's a scene where Father McKay and Henry are in the latrine and it gets hit. Honestly, it couldn't have gotten hit because they probably shouldn't have survived, but Henry's arm gets broken and Father McKay is dazed for a little bit. Nothing serious. Then there's a moment where a patient is brought into the OR because they're still getting wounded throughout this and he's been booby-trapped. Shouldn't the people doing pre-op have discovered that? Can't say it was Frank because Frank was in the OR doing that. And so Hawkeye has to remove the booby-trap grenade. And Frank is like, shouldn't we have the bomb disposal expert do it? And Hawkeye's like, that's the bomb disposal expert, who was literally laying on the OR table right next. Yeah, so things are not going too well. And then, of course, Hawkeye and then Margaret and Trapper head over to the supply room to get more supplies, and the door gets jammed. And Trapper's definitely trying to put the moves on Margaret, and Margaret is clearly overwhelmed with the situation. In fact, this is one of the few times where you could see her tough exterior break down. Though I do have to say, I do feel like later episodes where they show her softer side, her less tough military-bearing side, do it way better than this episode does, which feels like they're more, I don't want to use the word emphasizing her, but playing very much into stereotypes and women not being able to, handle war and things like that. I feel like they play too much into stereotypes in this episode while removing her tough exterior, because you can still do that while still keep who she is at her core intact, and they kind of failed in this episode. Mainly because they wanted to create a scenario where Frank is jealous of Trapper. They did do that, but at the expense of Margaret's character. So, not a big fan of how they did it. And once Hawkeye tells Frank, because apparently Hawkeye is getting, frustrated, getting tired of Frank being basically, a pushover, for lack of a better term, who's already a pushover, but basically not himself, reveals to Frank that Trapper didn't get anywhere, and that makes Frank feel better. Though, at the same time, Frank had, in his bumbling way trying to get Margaret back, even though he never lost Margaret, basically further dug himself into a hole, because remember, he's married back home and he doesn't want to get divorced even from Margaret. So yeah, he dug himself a bit of a hole there. So that's pretty much what's going on. There's also a Costa Rican nurse, and while Costa Rica did not send even a medical personnel to Korea, it is theoretically possible that she could either have been Costa Rican American, so a U.S. citizen who happened to be the child of Costa Rican immigrants and went to nursing school, very likely, or was working with the Red Cross and volunteered to come. Both ways could theoretically be possible, given the fact that Costa Rica itself sent no actual units or medical personnel. Which makes sense, Costa Rica does not have a military. And granted, I think, was it? Yeah, it was before the Korean War when they got rid of the military. So there's not too much more to talk about. I can't talk about the main things I wanted to, so I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching my video. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to give this video a like and share. Also, consider subscribing to my channel to stay up to date on all my latest content. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. May the force be with you, always.